I am rubbish at football, but I still enjoy watching the major international football events like the World Cup or the European Cup. They are fun, but I will not watch the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar, and here's why. Qatar is not a football nation, and therefore they had to build a whole lot of stadiums and infrastructure after FIFA assigned them with the hosting rights. For this, Qatar employs migrant workers from third world countries like Nepal, India, Bangladesh or Pakistan. These migrant workers actually make up the majority of the population of Qatar. There's a system called the kafala system in place to manage these amounts of migrant workers. But herein lies the problem. The kafala system requires migrants to be sponsored by a Qatari national, usually their employer, who is responsible for their visa and legal status. This might not sound particularly bothering, but this system is very easy to exploit. Migrant workers are usually sourced from the poorest countries on earth, where job opportunities are scarce. They are promised attractive looking wages and good work conditions. But for this they have to take on loans to pay for visas and bribes, because in some countries like Bangladesh, you can't get anything done without bribes. When these people arrive in Qatar, they often learn that their wages will be significantly lower and their living and working conditions are atrocious.
So there are 6 people living in this really small room, and this is where they cook their food and this is where they sleep. Or they have common toilets at the back, and he's just saying that it's in pretty bad shape.
They can't leave, however, because their employers will have taken their papers and passports away from them. And even if they could leave the country, they would still be left with an enormous debt, paying to be able to work. Hurrah! The employers are also responsible for applying for the migrants' residence permits, which the workers need for healthcare and other services. They also need this as every migrant without a valid permit is considered absconded, which is a criminal offence in Qatar and can earn you jail time. But many workers are never actually handed these permits. Of course, they could complain, in theory, but their employers tend to threaten them with nasty consequences like withholding their salary. So many don't complain. And as if this wasn't enough already, many workers have actually died in Qatar, either as a consequence of far too much work in far too hot temperatures, or as accidents due to unsafe working conditions. Nobody knows just how many fatalities there have been exactly, but many reports are talking of over 6,500. If a worker dies, the only thing the grieving family has to commemorate their loved one is the enormous debt that still needs to be paid. The stadiums and a large percentage of the newly built infrastructure will remain empty or unused after the event. There are enough countries like Germany, France or Italy who already have both the football history and the stadiums. I really don't see why you can't just appoint half a dozen or so countries to take turns in hosting the Football World Cup. But what can you do to combat this injustice? After all, the abuse has already happened, and the World Cup is probably going ahead anyway. But if we all spread the word and boycott the event, maybe, just maybe, we can prevent this kind of atrocity from happening again in the future. After all, the abuse of migrant workers in the Middle East is a general problem. It's not solely linked to football. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Will you watch the tournament? Don't forget to click all the right buttons and I'll see you in the next video.